Hello to the chicos, hello to the chicas. Today we are going to have a look at an absolute banger of a game. It was yet another community submission. It was sent to me via Chesscom messages, and this game is an absolute banger. Our friend who played this is in the white trunks, and he's rated about 1700 on .com. I'm actually not sure why the names are not displayed, but anyway, we are going to go into a Sicilian Grand Prix attack with bishop b5. When your opponent plays an early d6, then this becomes a delicious option, because obviously we can take on c6, and then after bc we can just carry out the usual attacking pattern with d3 castles, queen e1, queen h4. You know the drill if you know the Grand Prix. If not, then this is a good way to be introduced to how to do this with white. I would have already captured this c6 before they could have dodged the double pawn bullet. This is one of those cases where the double pawns are actually bad, because I get to bite into the structure, eliminate this guy, and consequently there will be a double isolated c-pawns left on the board. So I don't know how accurate white's play here. White play is here, but ultimately he ended up taking c6. He ended up playing e5. So shout out to our good friend Lazker, by the way, who submitted this game. But you will see his name soon, because I am actually going to display a message, or rather a comment that he added to this game. So this is how it continued. Knight d5, knight e4. Mint. This is how you play this stuff. Knight b6, take d6, perfect. Bishop takes, and b3. This is also very good. c4 appears to me here to be a very, very logical positional idea, namely to blockade both pawns, which means that c5 is a target, and because of c5 can't move, or rather neither of them can, the bishop here is buried alive. There is a common strategy here for black, which I see by top GMs often played, which is that they've chucked the c-pawn forward, and then they often don't even retake, and they put the other pawn forward in order to open up the long diagonal for the bishop. And that's quite a notable plan, because then the position becomes very dynamic compared to the current rigid strategical maneuvery type of stuff. So yeah, c4 is definitely an interesting idea here. We played b3, nothing wrong there. Knight d5, knight e5. Put your pieces in the center. And that is, my friends, our message to begin the game, with queen c7 challenging the knight on e5 and bishop b2. What a move, man. Giving up knight e3, but putting every single piece on the best possible square. Now, this is where something interesting is coming. I will actually leak a little bit of a message here. This is what my friend says here after submitting the game. Right after bishop b2, the move you just saw, I thought I blundered knight e3 fork. But that's where I was able to channel my inner Andrash, literally saying, no way black can afford another knight move. You want the exchange? You can have the full rook. And while we are at it, here is another knight, knight f6 check, to add to your material shopping bag. Because this game is about mating the king. Thank God he didn't say in your face, bro, because that's the only thing that is missing from this very enthusiastic but perfectly on point description of what went down in the game. So yeah, let's jump back into the game and let's make sense of what he said. So knight e3, you want my you want the exchange, you can have my full rock, and then you can add a knight to your material shopping bag, baby. Get wrecked, says white. What a mate attack, folks. The easy part to see is, of course, that king h8, queen h7 wins. By the way, I want to stop here for a second, because it's such a marvelous position, and here white's attack is already in full swing. So even if I don't take this, I'm in all kinds of trouble. For example, g6, just to mention a beaut, knight f6, king g7, and there are multiple moves here that would lead us to beautiful victories. The engine's favorite is knight takes g6. I would be more inclined to go with checks, because that's how I'm wired, and there is apparently a forced mate to be had here very soon. Hardly surprising. So that was the g6 suicide attempt. If I go h6, Then comes rook f3, and now we are well and truly bringing all the boys to the party. And if the knight drops back to d5, then knight g4 is going to set the board on fire with a large number of threats all over the shop. Let's try f5. Knight takes h6. Thank you very much. Can't take because queen g6 is mate. So the king has to go to the h file. And now the calm and measured and somewhat surprising knight g5 is the move that leads to an unstoppable checkmate. Even if I attack the queen, this is double checks. Or check rather. And then mate. So at this point, I dare say that it didn't matter. f5, maybe take d6, rook f3. Yeah, that's the engine actually likes rook f2, knight c4 even. I mean, this diagonal is just so delicious. Incredibly, I really want to show you this because it's so instructive. This position is materially level. The engine's evaluation of this position is +3.5. And that's because we experience the phenomenon of opposite colored bishops with the attack. That's literally like your upper piece, because every time we create a dark squared threat, your opponent's bishop can't partake in the defense. And so for most intents and purposes, they are a piece down. Anyway, back to the game. They did accept the rook and check Reno. And yeah, now after gf6 came the icing on the cake, the sensational knight g4. I must add, though, for beauty's sake, that if we really wanted to make this an absolutely sparkling beauty, then we would have played here knight d7 with the identical threat, but with a bit of an additional flourish. Although there is one difference that favors knight g4 over knight d7, and that is the fact that if I play, let's say, a null move, then this check is a particularly delicious way to finish the game, and this checkmate pattern is not accessible with a knight on d7. Of course, the point is that we don't have to go queen g5, knight f6, queen h7 is just as quick a mate, which justifies the knight d7 move. Of course, capturing d7 with either piece is completely out of the question. We have got check followed by checkmate. So the game is over. We played knight g4 in the game. Opponent played rook d8, which was probably best. Maybe e5 is an idea to try to escape. Now knight takes f6, king g7, and now it's time to be careful because we don't quite have a mate. If we become too hasty and we go for this, bishop f5, and now we need to watch out. Now we need to watch out. This is not accurate. The accurate way to play it is to take f6, king g7, and take e5. And by defending the knight, we actually created a mate threat. And that's pretty nice. If bishop takes, we take back with the bishop, and then the diagonal has been reopened. If I go something like rook h8, then after e takes d6, and now it's carnage. Materially, it's just untenable. If the queen takes, I can check down the queen. And if I go random with the queen, then we have got another marvelous checkmate on the dark squares. Just beautiful checkmates, one after the next. Sensational stuff. So let's finish off now with the actual game continuation. Rook d8. We went queen h6. Once again, the most precise move to achieve mate. Now the threat is knight f6, queen h7. In order to dodge this, we must defend the pawn on f6. But of course, now we have got a new mate threat, and that is queen g7. Completely unstoppable. And so our good friend Lazker wins the game like an absolute champ. It's a slight blemish that bishop b2 was not played, you know, with the intention, or rather with the wisdom of seeing knight e3 and still allowing it, but it was rather like a, ooh, shoosh, I missed this. And then we realized that actually that doesn't work. But nonetheless, I think this was an absolutely fabulous, brutal attack. And if you are a Grand Prix aficionado, this is a beautiful game to introduce you various ideas to the in the Grand Prix Attack. And if you are a player who plays the Sicilian with black, This is definitely a game to keep in mind, in the sense that this is how you do not want to play a game of chess in the Grand Prix Sicilian. Once again, shout out to my friend from Holland, Mr. Lazker with a Z. Thanks for the game submission. It was absolute pleasure to bring it to my YouTube audience. I hope you guys liked it too. Please don't forget to chuck a like, to leave a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't done so, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.